My grandfather loved Philadelphia. He had no skills. He could not read or write English. He spoke, as I say, in the broken accent. He loved America. In the 1930s, he got a job at the quartermaster, the government quartermaster, as a pants presser for 30 years, pressing pants. And he did that. And he considered himself very fortunate. He retired in the late 1950s, and he worked. He supported his family. He raised the family. And he talked about at this time the freedoms that he had when he came to America. He mentioned his freedom to worship, because it was always fearful in the little town, the pogrom, something like that. He was proud that he and my grandmother Esther had become citizens, because they could never become citizens in their little town. He was proud that he could raise his own family in the way he wanted, and he raised them to be good citizens, and he raised them to speak English. So there was very little Yiddish spoken. I'll come back to this in a little bit. And then he said, and I did not understand this, so I'm talking to my grandfather somewhere in 1980 or so. He said he had freedom from fear. He said in his own way. And I asked him what that meant. He said, you could go to work. You weren't going to be attacked on the streets. You could be Jewish and people would smile at you. Tolerance is what it meant. He lived in a neighborhood that was Irish and Catholic and Protestant and all other nationalities from countries where Jews were not held in particularly high esteem. All the neighbors worked together. And he said, the other funny thing is, he said you had freedom from fear, that when there was a knock on the door, it was your neighbor. It was your neighbor asking if you were ill, could they help? It was your neighbor knocking on the door, asking you if when he was elderly, could they buy him something at the store? And as I grew up in South Philadelphia, it was a knock from my neighbors asking you at Christmas, did you want to come in and see the tree? You really had a sense that there was nothing to fear. So this is in the late 1950s when I'm talking about it. And so you've come out from Holocaust times, the Rosenberg times, and so on and so forth. So it's like living in a bubble of nice memories. My grandfather actually felt that he had achieved the American dream. And I'll tell you, in the last parts of his life, whether we would have a Seder, and I have video of this at home, whether you went to an unveiling, he would do people's unveilings, he would say the prayers and such, a bar mitzvah, my grandfather would spontaneously burst out at the end of these things with God bless America. And he would lead everyone. We have video of a Seder where the Seder is done, and all of a sudden, my grandfather is singing God Bless America. At my uncle's unveiling, everybody's boo-hooing and crying. My grandfather's singing God Bless America. He felt he had truly achieved the American dream. And I suppose he had achieved it with all of that stuff and the freedoms that he felt along the way.